Welcome to my review for Duel for the Sega Genesis. This is definitely a unique game. I haven't seen many games like this. Even currently to this day, this was definitely a unique game at the time. But that's not necessarily a good thing in this case. This is one of those really obscure games where you have to know exactly what to do or you pretty much just get annihilated. So I'm going to go through some of that now, basically how the game works. It's basically one-on-one, you versus the AI opponents, and you just have to kill various monsters one-on-one. So you have to buy all your ammo. The first fight, you have all your ammo supplied for you, so you don't have to worry about purchasing any weapons. But the idea is to take out your opponents, and you have to be real careful with what ammo you purchase because you can easily waste money, and most of the weapons seem to be completely useless. So you really have to know exactly what you're doing. And that means shooting off body parts in a specific order, very cryptic things like that. Now, between fights, you have these bonus matches. They're called bonus matches, but the later ones are very difficult, and if you fail to qualify, you lose the game. You have limited continues, and you'll waste a continue if you fail these. So it's kind of it's a little misleading that it's presented as a bonus type of game. It also doesn't fit the theme of the game at all to have a shooting gallery with fucking floating fish and other weird shit. It doesn't really make any sense within the theme of the game. The trick to these bonus stages is to place your reticle a little bit ahead of the things that you're trying to shoot so that they walk into your bullets, because the bullets are extremely slow in that bonus stage. They're even pretty slow even in the regular fights, most of the weapons. The machine gun has a kind of a delay to it. I have a tutorial up on this game. If you use that, it'll make beating this game and playing it a lot more straightforward, a lot easier to beat. So I will put a link to that in the description. So yeah, you spend money to make repairs to your mech if you need to. So that costs a little bit of money, but it's pretty cheap. And you need to make sure you purchase the right weapons, and it's very, very easy to run out of ammo. And then if that happens, you basically get killed. You'll waste a continue, and then you may not have enough money to buy, to resupply your weapons and ammo again. That's the problem. So the continues really don't make much of a difference if you waste all your ammo. I mean, sometimes you won't have enough money to purchase it all again. So you can easily run out of supplies and have to restart the entire game. So here I'm just showing how some of the fights can play out. And you got to keep in mind that these opponents have regenerating body parts a lot of times. So you take off a leg and it grows back a lot of times. So if you don't take out the body parts in a very specific order, you can easily, like you see in this case here, I almost used up all my ammo just trying to beat this guy because there was probably a better order that I could have took out his limbs. But it's not clear at all. It's just experimentation. And it's a very rigid trial and error type of experimentation, not the type that I would consider good gameplay. I mean, I really like the concept of this game. Very cool, very unique, but the execution is pretty shitty. But yeah, see, then you finish off his head at the end, but you have to do everything in a very, very specific order. You have to use specific ammunition. You don't want to buy too much of the wrong ammunition because it doesn't carry over into the next stage. So you have to buy exactly how much ammo you're going to be using pretty much. That's a pain in the ass to try to, remember for each fight. And now if these enemies go behind these walls, it's a pain in the ass because you pretty much can't hit them when they're behind the walls. It's very hard to even hit them. So you have to just wait around for them to come out. And there is a timer as well, so these are all annoyances. It's just kind of cheap that the enemies will sometimes just hide behind the walls for a while and hang out. Now, if you take off their legs, it's cool because you can immobilize them by taking off legs and stuff. So taking off specific body parts has different effects. I think that's very cool. I do like a lot of what this game tried to do. And I like the dark presentation. Back then, I was very, very into games that had a dark presentation. That was like a selling point for me. Even though I didn't know what the hell this game was, I picked it up because of the box art, and it looked kind of grim. And, it has dark kind of, music and presentation. When you die, It shows like a Grim Reaper silhouette, and it calls you a spineless worm. It has a pretty cool presentation. So this is one of the bosses that regenerates his limbs very quickly. So if you don't know exactly what you're doing here, this guy can be one of the hardest to take out. Possibly the hardest boss in the game, even when you have an idea of what to do. So you really need to know what limbs to take out. Otherwise, as you can see, you're just going to waste all your ammunition taking out the wrong limbs. That was when I had a good idea of what I had to do. See, this is where you repair your mech between matches. And you go to the shop between every match, and that's where you buy all your ammo and stuff. Now, the last 3 fights are pretty bizarre in that you have to manipulate this feature that you wouldn't even think to use. When you press start, you can lock the screen into place. And you don't use it the entire game except for these last 3 guys. And if you don't use it on these last 3 enemies, you pretty much get annihilated. You have to know to use this. It's very obscure. You would probably never think to even use this. For this one, I think you just fix the screen. You press start to lock the screen into place, and then you can move your reticle freely without moving the screen, without scrolling the screen. By doing that, the boss cannot hurt you. But it's a very fucking weird exploit. I mean, why would you think to do that the boss wouldn't be able to hurt you if you locked your screen? That doesn't even make any logical sense. It's not something you would think to do. And that's how this game is. And for this guy, you want to lock your screen to the edge and have the guy locked to the edge of the screen. See, now my screen is locked again. Well, not quite now, but right here I think I locked my screen with him on the edge of the screen. You have to do it like that, and then you can take him out without taking damage yet again. And that's the trick to this guy, is locking him on the corner of the screen, basically. See, now I'm taking damage because he moved away from that corner of the screen. It's a very strange thing. I mean, it doesn't make any sense, like I said. But that's pretty much how you have to fight these guys. I don't know how else to fight these guys. And I don't remember exactly where I came across this information. Probably in an old game fact or something like that. My friend guided me through this again this time because he knew the game, and I think he learned it from a game fact. Because it's very obscure. You would never really be able to beat this game reasonably without knowing what the hell you were doing exactly. And if you didn't figure out that screen lock trick, you might never beat the game. So yeah, now this qualifying match is the hardest one in the game. And these can get quite difficult. And they're really, the gameplay is not great. But the trick is to have your reticle a little bit ahead of the enemies because your bullets are so slow. Now this time I got very lucky and I hit the smallest enemy in the game, the fly, which is extremely difficult to hit. I don't even think I was aiming for it. I think I was trying to hit another guy, but I ended up hitting the flea, which ended this bonus stage very early. Now normally I do not recommend trying to aim for that flea at all because it's almost impossible to hit. But I just got very lucky this time. I did beat the game years ago and I don't think I hit the flea, so you don't need to hit that flea. It's better to avoid it. Say I hit that flea and I got 8,000 and something points. I got 5,000 off of the flea, but you really don't need to do that. But it's kind of bullshit that you have to beat these bonus stages that are not really bonus stages to beat the game. The later 2 are the hardest ones, especially the last one I just showed. Now for this final boss, you got to lock him to the edge of the screen yet again, but he also disappears. So I think he will reappear in the same spot. Maybe not. No, you have to move the screen again and get him to the edges of the screen. You got to really pull bullshit yet again on this boss. And this time I'm using missiles because, for this guy you use different weapons. So you got to know what weapons to use. It's usually machine gun or missile, and those are the main things. There's also skimmers, but those are really the only 3 weapons you use. The machine gun just gives you a bead on the target and lets you know that you're making contact with it by the explosions. But now, at the very end, you think you beat the game, and a guy will come out and kill you if you don't keep shooting the torso. You didn't see it there because I beat it. I knew that the guy was going to come out of his torso. But if you think that you beat the game and you stop firing, a guy will come out, shoot you, and all your continues will be gone. And this is your fucking prize for beating the game. This is what you get to take home after you defeat the last machine. But yeah, very cheap game. It tries to fuck you over in the very end on the last boss. If you think you beat it, a small man will come out of his chest and shoot you once, and it's game over. You lose all your continues. You have to start the whole game over. It's extremely fucking cheap. And it shows you what kind of game this is. It's just one of those trial and error bullshit type of games. It's a pretty bad fucking game, but I really do like the concepts that are in the game. I like how it's these one-on-one against a mech. You have to repair your unit. I like how you have to take out various body parts to slow the enemies down or immobilize them. And, taking out an arm that has a gun on it will stop the enemy from being able to use that arm and shoot at you with that arm. So there's some very cool features in the game, very cool ideas. But it's a pretty shitty game. I would give this game a 4 out of 10. And I would say with my guide, if you check my guide first and use it throughout playing the game, I'd say maybe it elevates it to a 5 out of a 10, for enjoyability and stuff. But because at least it's playable if you know exactly what to fucking do. But if you don't know exactly what to do on each enemy, it's pretty shitty. You'll lose continues. You won't have enough money to buy your ammo back and refill it. So overall, it's a pretty shitty game. But I do like the presentation overall, and I like the whole concept of it. Thanks for watching.